When corrupt cops step into a courtroom, they're forced to face the harsh reality of their actions. These moments reveal the power of justice, where their arrogance is replaced with humiliation, just like how this officer thought he could talk his way out of trouble. But as witness testimonies and evidence piled up, his smug attitude crumbled.
Get your hands up! Get your hands up! That's what he's treating. That's how he's treating a stranded citizen.
Sometimes the courtroom becomes the ultimate stage for justice, where no badge can shield the truth. Today, we're diving into those unforgettable moments when corrupt cops were exposed and owned in front of a judge.
I have no idea what's going to happen right now. I do know one thing. There's going to be one side who's going to be brokenhearted. One side's going to be brokenhearted. We know that for sure. What I ask everybody, and then I follow it up with I'm ordering, that I am respectful that this is the most pressure-packed moment for most people in their entire lives.
On March 7th, 2019, following a decision he made that resulted in the most horrifying circumstance conceivable, Palm Beach officer Newman Raja was informed of the verdict of his trial, and the result was far from pretty.
I hereby sentence Mr. Raja to 25 years in the Department of Corrections. That is as a minimum mandatory, which was required that he serve day for day.
However, 8 days before, at the start of Raja's trial, the prosecution had disclosed the true reason for his detention.
That defendant right there chose to refuse to act like any reasonable law enforcement officer approaching a stranded citizen in help. That is why Corey Jones died that evening. He recklessly created a situation which could only be expected to result in somebody being seriously injured or killed. You see, this isn't just a tragic story. This is a tragedy that was created. It was created by him. It resulted in an innocent man being killed. Corey Jones was doing nothing except waiting for help on the side of the road because his SUV broke down. And one of the few people that should have unquestionably been there to assist him on the side of that road did exactly the opposite. Instead of being Corey Jones' saving grace, he was his angel of death.
In this instance, Corey Jones was the victim, and his contact with Raja was his final moment.
The evidence will show that there's no way Corey Jones knew, even at the time that he was running, fleeing from the back of his vehicle, running into the dark, seeking cover, laying there on the ground, dying, breathing his last breath. No way that he knew that the person that actually shot and killed him was a law enforcement officer. He's out at the middle of the night on the side of the road, stranded. And unlike a lot of folks in this world, he was patient, he was nice. All he wanted was some help to get home. You'll hear it with your own ears. You'll hear how he's calm. You'll hear how he's giving her information just to get the help that he needs. But see, unfortunately for Corey Jones, his bad luck was turning much worse. Because unknown to him, that defendant was on duty.
Officer Raja responded as Jones waited for non-emergency assistance, and Jones unfortunately paid the price for circumstances which were out of his hands.
See, he was a police officer at that time in Palm Beach Police Department. He was working a detail, a plainclothes detail, where he was supposed to surveil neighborhoods, looking for car burglars. And if he saw anything, he's supposed to call up marked units to come and take care of the issue. And he was supposed to be wearing a tactical vest, like you see on TV, in the news, maybe even in person, with big letters that say police across them, so everybody knows who he is. If he gets out of that van, an unmarked van, he's supposed to be clearly identifiable as a law enforcement officer.
Raja chose to play the judge, jury, and executioner roles rather than taking any of these measures.
And instead of doing what everybody would expect a law enforcement officer to do, when they're approaching a stranded, potentially abandoned, but at least a vehicle that's stranded on the side of the road. That defendant did everything wrong. He did everything that you would not expect. He's driving an unmarked white van, and he comes along and he goes up the wrong way of an I-95 exit ramp.
Raja also asserted throughout his trial that he had introduced himself to Jones as an officer, although an audio recording refuted this. This was the starting point of his downfall.
Now, Corey Jones, he's got an expensive job. He goes into not the nicest parts of Delaware Beach for his job. So he did what any lawful American can do. He purchased a firearm, .380 handgun. You can't even try to create the situation handed out. He got that gun 2 days prior to this event. It was still in the box in his glove compartment. But as soon as that defendant recklessly pulls up to him at 3 o'clock in the morning, in the way that he did,
this would refute Raja's other assertion, namely that Jones's armed status was the reason his hand was forced.
Corey Jones knew what was exactly about to happen. What any reasonable person could expect to happen. You'll show through the evidence today and through the next 2 weeks what Corey Jones was thinking. You'll hear how Corey Jones had that gun in that box. You'll hear the chimes of the door opening from Corey Jones' SUV because he still had the keys in the ignition. And you'll hear the last words that Corey Jones ever spoke in this world. They weren't confrontational words. They weren't fighting words. They were calm words that unfortunately turned to fear. Because there's the defendant. Nothing that shows he's an officer. He didn't even pull out the badge, which was in his wallet, in his back pocket, to show to Corey Jones. Much less put on that vest that said police, or even had his radio or his gun. There's no verbal identification that you're going to hear on that recording when Corey Jones was talking to that sales representative that had to sit there and witness this horrific event unfold.
Given how seriously Raja's conduct was portrayed, the prosecutor's response was entirely justified by the facts of the case.
Yeah, I'm good. Really? That's what he's saying. That's not how an officer talks to a citizen at 3 o'clock in the morning on the side of the road. But that's how he spoke to what he saw with Corey Jones on the side of that road. All the while, when he's saying this, when you listen to this tape, realize things didn't stop. We're not all of a sudden just done with action. As this defendant is saying these words to Corey Jones, and Corey Jones is responding back, he's getting closer and closer to Corey Jones. He's actually chasing Corey Jones away from his vehicle. Corey's already retreating back out of his doorway to the back of his vehicle. A citizen that's stranded on the side of the road, already being chased from his vehicle.
Given what transpired, it is horrifying to believe that Raja didn't pause for even a moment before profiling Jones.
Get your hands up. Get your hands up. That's what he's screaming. That's how he's treating a stranded citizen. Immediately within seconds, that's what he's saying. Profane orders being shouted at a time when a guy is sitting with a broken down car, trying to get home. And what does Corey say? He doesn't respond in kind with profanity. He says, hold on, hold on. Once again, get your effing hands up. Drop. 3 shots.
Apart from Raja's intention to kill a man in cold blood, something the jury was definitely not allowing him to get away with, none of this was justified.
He didn't ask for it. It got thrust upon him by the person that was supposed to be caring for his safety. He made a decision to shoot first and ask questions later.
Raja is a symbol of everything that is wrong with the police force today, which permits complete psychopaths to hold high positions.
He's thrown down the gun already that he had in his hand that was meant to protect him, and you consider that Corey Jones is running for his life after being shot at on the side of the road. That's forever. 10 seconds between the third and the fourth shot. 10 seconds for a young man running for the cover of darkness. 10 seconds for that defendant right there finally do what he is supposed to do as a law enforcement officer. But that's not what the evidence is going to show he did. It's going to show his recklessness. His absolute reckless behavior from the start is now changing. It's evolving. It's now becoming a premeditated intent to kill.
The facts would go to show that this was something far worse than an accident or a case of ineptitude.
He waits over 30 seconds. 30 seconds to call 911. And why was he calling 911? Because he didn't have his radio on him like he's supposed to. He had to use his own phone to call 911, and he waited 30 seconds to call. Before getting medical assistance for Corey Jones, before getting much needed assistance, if he was truly in fear of his life, when he needs to call a cavalry, 30 seconds. Doing what? Letting Corey Jones die. And thinking, how is he going to act?
This could be the lone instance in which the prosecution was incorrect. It's very possible that Raja has done this before. He doesn't seem like a first-time killer.
With great power comes great responsibility. Law enforcement officers undoubtedly possess great power, great capacity for good. But that necessarily equals great responsibility in the way that those powers are used. They have a right to kill a person if necessary. But they don't have a right to kill anybody without absolute necessity.
According to the prosecution, Raja may not have killed Jones out of sentimentality or rage, but rather out of a simple lack of concern. What else could this careless killer possibly done?
And he's going to explain to you, the judge will tell you what culpable negligence means. He's going to say it means a course of conduct showing a reckless disregard for human life or the safety of other persons exposed to its dangerous effects of conscious indifference to the consequences. I couldn't have thought up better words to explain exactly what he did.
However, the possibility that Raja may have plotted this from the beginning raises even more serious questions.
He was reckless from the start. He created the situation, and the evidence is going to show you that he could have only expected one result. The death of Corey Jones. And that's manslaughter. It doesn't matter if we're bad. It doesn't matter if you're hopeless. It's manslaughter. But see, he doesn't get a free pass under the law for those last 3 shots. The last 3 shots that he waited 10 seconds to deliver. It took 1 second interval between each one. The law doesn't give him a free pass for those shots.
Raja has no points in his defense, no way to escape justice, and the walls are closing in on him fast.
You're going to hear medical examiner come up here, forensic pathologist, and explain to you all the injuries that Corey Jones sustained. He was shot in the left forearm, fractured the bone in his forearm to the point where it compounded. It came out of his skin. He was shot in the back of the arm, the back of this arm, on the right side of the upper arm, and went through right out. He was shot in the right side of his chest, and that bullet ripped through his body, destroyed his aorta, and lodged into his left shoulder.
The prosecution attacked Raja one last time, suggesting that while he may have been a criminal, he was not a clever one.
I'm confident that you're going to agree on the one verdict for which all the evidence will support. And that's a verdict finding him guilty as charged of being a reckless killer and for trying to murder Corey Jones. I'm going to ask you to hold him responsible for how he misused that power.
The worst aspect is that Raja showed no remorse and even attempted to justify his behavior with his family. But the judge, thankfully, did not see it that way.
Newman Raja, defendant, verdict. We, the jury, find as follows. As to count one, we find a defendant guilty of manslaughter while armed with a firearm as charged in the information. As to count two, we find a defendant guilty of attempted first-degree murder as charged in the information. If you find a defendant guilty of attempted first-degree murder, you must next answer the following questions. Did the state prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant actually possessed a firearm? Yes. Did the state prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant actually discharged a firearm? Yes. Did the state prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant in discharging the firearm actually caused great bodily harm or death to Corey L. Jones? Yes.
However, this case ended well because Raja had to face the consequences of his actions. Circuit Judge Joseph Marks could have given Raja a life sentence. Marks imposed a 25-year sentence on both convictions to be served concurrently. Up next, we have two other corrupt cops whose carelessness led to something very unfortunate, to say the least.
I'm sorry!
On October 8, 2020, the Stockton Police Department received two 911 calls from a local AM/PM on Trinity Parkway, one from an employee and one from a customer, Shane Sutherland. The officers arrived at the scene, but the negligence on display ultimately caused something absolutely devastating and unfixable.
911, what's your emergency?
Yes, can I get a taxi cab to the AM/PM?
This is 911, not a taxi cab.
I know.
Yeah, we don't order taxi cabs on 911.
Oh, well, yeah, that's,
You could try 411.
oh, no, that needs to come to, that needs to come to AM/PM.
What does?
What I call?
911?
Yeah.
What's your emergency?
Someone's trying to rob me over here.
Who is?
Somebody in the store.
Are you an employee there?
Yeah.
What is your name?
Oh, no, I'm not an employee, I'm just a customer.
What is your name?
This was the first 911 call the police received. It suddenly and mysteriously ended.
The address of your emergency?
Yes, emergency.
You need police, medical, or fire?
Police as soon as possible, because the guy is trying to threaten us and just hold a bottle of wine and just he's going to throw it on us.
Okay, what's your name?
Calling. My name is. I just did call and nobody's
Yeah.
here, so.
Okay, we have an officer on the way, so I'll
Yes,
update them.
please. Yeah,
Said he's threatening to throw a wine bottle at you?
Yeah, he's grabbing a wine bottle right now, and he just took a bottle from the top, and he was trying to threaten us. And
Okay.
he's standing right by the register, so no customer could get to the register even.
Okay, I'll go ahead and update the call. Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Bye-bye.
There was no time to waste. This guy could have seriously taken someone's life if the officers didn't act fast.
You paying for it?
The officers then took the man outside to understand what had happened in a safe environment, so they could assess the situation to the best of their abilities.
Sit down, on your butt.
I was trying to buy a bottle of wine.
You were?
Yeah.
So how come he's telling us that you're threatening him with it?
I don't.
It's on camera.
Yeah,
All I got to
on
do is go
camera. I
look.
said I didn't threaten anybody with it.
You didn't hold it up like this?
No.
Okay. Do you have money to buy wine?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, so why are you calling 911?
I didn't.
No?
No. I was just trying to call a cab company.
Why?
Well, because I needed to get a cab. To
Okay,
my hotel.
but you called 911 and the dispatcher told you that.
No, I think it was already done.
And then you said and you said that somebody was robbing you.
No, that wasn't me.
No, that was you.
I don't recall, sir.
He was saying it was not him, but the officer kept putting words in his mouth. Someone should tell him that this isn't how a cordial conversation should go.
What's your name?
Shane Sutherland.
Let me see your ID.
Yep.
Don't get up, just get it out of your pocket. You on probation or parole?
I'm on informal probation.
For what?
Just some old stuff from a long time ago.
What is that? What old stuff?
Nothing violent.
What is it?
Christ.
Spit it
I
out.
can't remember, sir. Honestly, I can't.
Really? You don't know what you were arrested for?
No, I
I mean,
can't.
the drugs probably have something to do with it.
Yeah.
I'll run
Yeah.
with that.
How can the cop just assume role in his past arrest without any evidence to suggest so? The ignorance on display is appalling, to say the least.
I really haven't.
Well, no. There's either I do or I don't. Not I really haven't. You're high out of your mind right now.
This is
Cocaine?
Yeah.
Okay. When's the last time you used cocaine?
earlier this morning.
Okay.
Earlier today.
So is that why you're acting out the way you do? Sit down. Sit
Oh,
down.
fuck.
You may think the cops haven't done anything wrong yet, but your perspective is about to twist the other way absolutely.
At the Motel 6.
By himself?
I guess.
Yeah, I got ID.
Who do you live with at Motel 6?
Just by myself.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wait, which Motel 6? There's two of them.
The Motel 6 in Tracy.
Oh, and Tracy.
Yeah, by Panera Bread. Fuck you, dude. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Relax.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm relaxed.
Hey, relax.
I'm relaxed, sir.
Stop it.
Okay.
Don't
Hey,
Yes,
fight.
Sir. Yes, sir.
knock
Yes,
it
sir.
off.
Yes, sir.
Knock it off.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dude, quit fighting.
I
You understand?
Yes, yes, sir. I got it. I understand. I won't move. I won't move at all.
The officer's telling him to quit fighting when he's so badly hurt that he's unable to resist.
I'm free.
You're not going to. Stop fighting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm done fighting. Ah!
Relax.
Yes, sir.
You're
Please let me breathe. Oh!
Knock it off.
stop.
I promise, sir.
Relax.
I won't be.
Relax.
I promise.
Hey,
Ah!
calm down.
Oh, I can't be. No. Don't
Relax.
Ah!
We're not. Relax.
Ah! No.
Can you go team?
No. Ah!
Go team.
Help!
These officers put the man through a ringer and expect him to calm down. As if this wasn't enough, their tyrannical actions only get worse from here. And their ignorance of Shane's cries for help resulted in something tragic.
Why? Ah!
Shane.
Ah!
Shane.
Ah! 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 Ah!
Relax. Relax.
Ah! 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 Oh!
Hey, he's turning colors here. Relax. Relax.
Ah!
Got it? Relax.
Ah!
But that was nothing compared to this corrupt cop who is caught abusing their authority in the worst way possible.
You struck your wife, you murdered her, and then you staged her body in the bathtub.
Corrupt cops rarely get caught for their evil deeds, but when they do, it's worth watching. Which is exactly what happened when this officer was brought to court on extremely disturbing charges.
I'm sorry to inform you, but your wife is passed, sir.
In 2021, ex-police officer Daniel Howard called 911 to say that his 52-year-old wife Kendy had met a quite tragic end. However, as soon as the police arrived, they found something even more alarming.
Come on out, sir. Over here, come on. I initially talked to Mr. Howard outside the front door, and then I walked past him into the house. Stay up here, okay? Looked around the living room, didn't see her, and I didn't remember exactly where she was supposed to be, so I went back out. Went back upstairs and found her.
And can you describe what you saw in the bathroom?
I saw a woman naked in the bathtub with an apparent tongue. There was blood around her coming out of her mouth.
According to the officer, Kendy's final moments were nothing short of heartbreaking. But shockingly enough, the one responsible was still in the same room.
Yes, there was a gun laying to to the right of her in the water, and the water was tinted red. Once her pulse was checked, no pulse was found by Deputy 9. Called for medical, and then they came in and announced that she was deceased. And then we cleared the residents upstairs to make sure no one else was in the house.
I'm sorry to inform you, but your wife has passed, sir. No, God damn it! Hey, Dan. Hey, Dan. Is there anyone that we can call for you? Anyone that is good attempts to my kids? Oh, God. Do it. Is there anyone we can call to give you some support or anything like that? Any family that...
While it was strange that Howard did not notice a shot despite being a cop, his telltale crocodile tears revealed much about how dark his mind had become.
I'm not that monster, I assure you, that people portrayed me to be. Kendy and I had 28 years together and raised a family, had mostly a good marriage and a good life. I worked away from home all the time and I was gone, and that was probably the gist of most of my problems, that I was gone. But I'm not that animal that they portrayed me to be, and that monster. And I couldn't have been that monster for 28 years and not be here before the court, waiting for him.
Howard always had a bad reputation. He resigned from the police force due to theft charges, served time in jail for harassment, and was eventually booked as a fugitive.
It is not my intention to anger the court or disrespect the process that I used to believe in and work for. But Your Honor is about to sentence an innocent man to prison. And I love my wife, and I miss her. And my stepdaughter, Brooke, who I raised since an infant, and her daughter, Kenley, that I helped raise for 5 years when we took them into our house. And I will miss them very much. I do miss them. Words cannot describe the pain that I feel for that.
When the police began their investigation, they discovered that Kendy's fatal wound was not the result of suicide. In fact, all evidence pointed to her beloved husband.
Stand before you, shell of a man used to be. Hell, I don't even have a shell left. My wife took her life. My will to live went down significantly. And when the jury found me guilty of crimes I didn't commit, it went down even further. Mr. Johnson touched on this. I'd appreciate the court taking into consideration my service to the country as a Marine.
Howard was such a monster that he continued to lie to the judge and disrespected Kendy's memory by still shifting the blame to her.
To the state of Idaho for over 20 years. In which I was decorated multiple times for saving lives, not taking them. For service to the community through coaching football and baseball for many years and being a 4-H leader for many years. I volunteered to help the seniors in the community north of me. Every time there was a windstorm, I'd cut trees from the driveway, from around the house. And I volunteered a lot. And to the frustration of my wife sometimes, because I was gone even more away from home. And I didn't ask those people to write letters into the court because I didn't want to burden them. So that's why I'm telling you that now.
Howard's history of harassment and other crimes made it clear that he was lying about being a good cop who saved lives.
I've successfully completed probation before, like Mr. Johnson said, and I can successfully complete probation for all the future, I assure you. I just want to reiterate that I still love Kendy's side of the family, Janie, Wendell, Brian. I still love my stepdaughter. I miss them very much. My dad, John, my sister, Diane. I will miss them very much. Thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Howard.
Howard's lies were infuriating but persistent, as though he thought him being a cop at one point in his career still put him above all.
We're here for sentencing on a conviction of second-degree murder and a conviction of domestic violence, a felony. And what the jury found, Mr. Howard, is that you murdered your wife. Now, why they found it a second-degree murder versus first-degree was, I'm not there in the jury room, but they didn't find beyond a reasonable doubt the one element of premeditation. That they found specifically, it was part of the charging documents and part of the jury instructions, that you asphyxiated your wife, that you strangled her, that you killed her. And so, the state has argued a lot about, we don't know exactly what happened that night, how she obtained the bruising, the burn, the broken jaw.
While Howard had let go of any humanity left in him, there were still some in the room who could see through his terrible facade.
Attorney disputes the state's version of how she got those injuries. We don't know for sure. But what we know, beyond a reasonable doubt, is that you strangled your wife, you murdered her, and then you staged her body in the bathtub, shot her through the mouth. And often in horrible crimes like this, everybody wants to know why, and often we don't know why, and I can't get inside your brain, but the pretty clear evidence, I agree with the state, is that this was due to, jealousy, greed, pride, anger, revenge, some combination of that.
As per reports, Kendy decided to leave Howard because of what he had become. However, he wasn't used to people reacting to his crimes. And due to the shared assets, he let greed take over, ultimately planning and executing his own wife's demise.
And you killed in a brutal manner. And as I think about it, when you killed your wife, you didn't just kill your wife. You killed a mother, you killed a grandmother, you killed a sister, you killed a daughter, you killed a coworker, you killed somebody who brought a lot of life and light. This is without the state proving necessarily, and they don't have to, without them proving exactly how she received what they describe as this beating, without them proving exactly how she ended up with a body so badly bruised.
But Howard didn't only stop at silencing her. His sick mind led him to do unimaginable things to the victim after committing this heinous crime.
We know your wife, you killed her and you staged her to look like a suicide. We don't have to know the answers to all those other things to understand this was a heinous. from my view of the evidence and from what came out, despite your efforts at the time to appear emotional and sad and distraught, it's clear to me that you're a remorseless killer. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say that lightly at all, because we don't like to think that anybody would be like that. But you're not sorry, and I don't. The way you treated her family, the way you treated your own family, your own stepdaughter, your granddaughter, with a cold and callous contempt after the murder, it belies your argument to me today that you love these people and that you're sorry.
The judge was correct when he called out Howard, because when given the opportunity to speak, he never apologized. He did not apologize or admit he made a mistake. Instead, he attempted to justify himself as a good person, demonstrating that he had no remorse for his actions.
About this after the fact, your behavior towards her was contemptuous and unkind. And I'm not sentencing you for that. There was a lot of stuff that came in at the trial as to how you treated people after the fact, and how you treated your stepdaughter after the fact, and not allowing your granddaughter to get items that were meaningful and significant. But that's not why you're being sentenced today. But that does point to the remorse, the lack of remorse, the lack of caring, and just the callous disregard that you had for Kendy and how her death affected those around her. The goals of sentencing include the primary consideration of the protection of society, followed by the possibility of risk reduction through rehabilitation, deterrence of the individual and the public generally, and punishment or retribution for wrongdoing and the impact on the victim.
No one could imagine such an inhumane act, but Howard dared to commit it to his own wife, with whom he had spent half of his life.
In terms of protection of society, I mean, obviously society has to be protected from somebody who's willing to commit the ultimate crime of murder. If they feel threatened, you didn't even feel threatened. This is over, again, most likely, elements of greed and anger and revenge.
People like Howard don't deserve rehabilitation or a chance at redemption, and how he replied next shows that.
I don't know how to say this without just sounding mean, but I mean, this is who you are. When I read the PSIs, I read that, and these are, obviously the PSI included a lot of reports, but these are actual quotes you gave to law enforcement 10 years ago. The first one I got, page 79 of 162, when this is your neighbor who you were angry with. Now this is him. I said these were quotes from you. This isn't a quote from you. This is what he says you told him. Wood claimed Daniel Howard yelled at him, "I don't know where you are at, but I'm going to find you and kill you. You fucked my life. When you least expect it, I will find you."
There was no truth to Howard's assertions that he was a heroic police officer who saved lives. With evidence in hand, the judge wasted no time exposing the falsehoods.
Confronted about this, among a number of things you said, this is a text you sent to another individual. Quote, "I used incredible restraint because the weasel fuck is still breathing." So this is 10 years ago. You're talking about somebody is still alive because you used incredible restraint. You denied the statement and said the following, quote, "I don't know how many people I told that he's lucky that basically he's breathing because I choose to let him to. Dumb, I mean, I never threatened to kill him." But you were telling people he's breathing because you choose to let him to. You went on to say, and then this really jumped out at me because this is 10 years before you murdered your wife.
Given Howard's history of multiple arrests, it was easy for everyone to believe what the judge was saying. Howard was a sick individual who treated people terribly while he was in charge.
I look back at these guys and I'm thinking, you know these guys that get put in prison because they killed old ladies who they were around with? I'm like, you know what? Man, I understand a certain amount why now. Those thoughts going through my mind, yeah, it's not illegal to think that, let me tell you something. And so 10 years before, you're saying you understand guys killing their wives. That was page 29 of 162. This is on page 95 of 162. And this is the sergeant's comments is part of this interview with you about your behavior, the stalking behavior that they were investigating of your neighbor. It says, during this long pause, Daniel Howard attempted to look disgusted and in emotional pain, but appeared feigned, and he would abruptly recover to continue his interview.
Howard's expression throughout the verdict was unmistakably his own, as he showed no remorse for any of his crimes.
I read in the PSI writer experienced this as well. It says, numerous times during his interview, he appeared to be feigning emotions of sadness, but he would quickly change his demeanor and direct the conversation back to himself. And it's like, wow, this is what we saw at trial. This is what...
The judge was excellent and extremely professional at his job, making sure to confront and expose that liar in front of everyone.
I think there were times you tried to create emotions and were feigning them, but whatever. Your attorneys indicated that part of your disinterest was a trial strategy. At trial, your efforts the night that you murdered your wife to feign this sadness and these emotions, and it was pretty obvious to see through. But what jumped out at me is seeing that you did this 10 years ago.
Howard was so self-absorbed that he could never feel genuine emotion for causing anyone harm. He showed no remorse, not at the time of his wife's death or while sitting in court.
You're 58 years old. I don't see a lot of rehabilitation, sadly, in your future. Maybe, perhaps, but that's not a significant mitigating factor in sentencing you. Deterrence of the individual and the public generally, certainly I consider deterrence. People need to know. I almost rarely talk about deterring the public as a whole, because usually people don't pay attention to what's happening on a day-to-day basis here in court. But in your situation, people are. And the public needs to know that there is a severe punishment for your wife. And there's no sort of mitigation because the marriage is on the rocks or the wife.
Howard deserved severe punishment, not just for being a cold-hearted murderer, but he was also a big threat to the public. Monsters like him should always be behind bars.
Punishment or retribution for wrongdoing and the impact on the victim. As has been noted by our courts, a judge really only has complete information when it comes to retribution and deterrence, because those are based on the nature of the offense. I can't otherwise get inside your head. And there's a lot that went on in this case that we don't know. We don't know how, Kendy got the injuries on her feet, on her head, all over her body. There's a lot of those things we don't know. Is that you strangled or asphyxiated your wife, you murdered her, you staged her body to be found as if it were suicide. It's an outrageously egregious murder. And of course, all murder is, but this is particularly heinous in my view, having sat through the trial and seen all the evidence.
It was satisfying to see the judge call Howard the names he deserved. He truly was a heinous person who didn't deserve a single chance, not even for a second.
The nature and gravity of the offense standing alone is sufficient to justify a fixed life sentence. And that is what I'm going to impose here. I think Kendy's family deserves to have that closure. The crime is so egregious that I don't think you should be released at any point. There's just so little mitigation here. There's just really none. And so I do find that a fixed life sentence is appropriate for the count of murder second degree. On the domestic violence charge, I'll impose 10-year sentence and run it concurrent. I didn't even speak about that.
Finally, watch as this sergeant, who was known for covering up crimes within his department, is confronted by his own colleagues.
I didn't even touch you. Your leg.
Corruption in the ranks of those sworn to protect us is a betrayal like no other. But what happens when justice strikes back right in the heart of the courtroom? This corrupt cop got instantly attacked in the courtroom and didn't even know what hit him. On February 4th, 2019, Officer Andrew Mamone stopped a car that was allegedly being driven in a suspicious manner. During the traffic stop, he discovered that two men were in possession of marijuana. Both men were asked to exit the car. The driver gave his real name, Tarek Green, but the passenger gave the false name of Cary Grant. His real name was Daquan Grant. Unfortunately, the officer and Mr. Grant had a very violent altercation that led to a thorough internal investigation.
For right to a representative of your choice, and your representative here today is
Sean Dunlap.
Today's date is May 28, 2019, and the time is now 10:34 hours. Officer Mamone, there are certain things you should be aware of prior to being asked any questions. This interview is an official investigation assigned to Internal Affairs by the Chief of Police. This investigation concerns administrative matters only. Anything you say in this interview cannot be used as evidence in any criminal proceeding against you, except pursuant to Chapter 837 Florida statutes regarding perjury. Officer Mamone, you are a principal in this investigation. Are you now on duty?
Yes.
The inquiring party in this inquiry is Sergeant Wesley Whited.
The interrogator just stated standard rules and regulations.
The nature of this investigation and this inquiry concern alleged violations of RM 800-2, arrest, subsection C, treatment of prisoners. This inquiry also relates to the circumstances surrounding all incidents which took place on February 4, 2019. For a point of record, on the INOI, the date says February 2nd, 2019, but the date is actually February 4th, 2019. I order you not to discuss any facet of this investigation with anyone except your legal representative, union representative, and internal affairs. A violation of this order will be considered insubordination, which may result in discipline up to and including termination. This order remains in effect until relieved by competent authority or the investigation becomes public record.
The interrogator warned the officer that he'd be charged for perjury if he lied and was caught.
Additionally, Chapter 112 Florida statute prohibits your legal counsel or representative from disclosing the contents of the internal affairs complaint and investigative findings until the investigation becomes public record. A law enforcement officer or witness who knowingly provides or makes a false statement during an internal or administrative investigation may subject that officer to prosecution for perjury. Department regulations require you to answer my questions and to be completely truthful. I now order you to answer the following questions. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the statement you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
He told him that information was given to him and nothing had been disclosed, and made him sign a document which basically meant that he was provided with every material related to the car.
You have been provided for your review the complaint, all witness statements, including all other existing subject officer statements, and all other existing evidence, including but not limited to incident reports and any audio or video recordings relating to the incident under investigation. No information of material fact relevant to this investigation has been intentionally kept from your attention and review. Now that you have had an opportunity to read and review the aforementioned case file, do you have any additional identifiable witnesses before the beginning of this interview?
No, ma'am.
Could you please sign and date the attachments page indicating that you were able to review the contents inside and that this stuff matches up with what's in here? Outside of your interview, Jordan has to be interviewed again.
The real interview is finally about to begin.
For the record, this is an official investigation and not a formality. Officer Mamone and Representative Dunlap, do you have any questions or concerns prior to the start of this interview process regarding this investigation?
I do not.
No.
Do you have any questions or concerns regarding this investigation as it relates to the FOP contract and Florida State Statute 112.532, the Police Officer's Bill of Rights?
I do not.
We reserve any of those concerns for the grievance or arbitration process.
Understand you're reserving your right to raise such issues in the grievance or arbitration process. As of today, would you like to continue with the interview?
Yes.
Please state and spell your first and last name for the record.
Andrew, Andrew, Mamone, Mamone.
And how long have you been with us at OPD?
Over 3 years.
And did you have law enforcement prior to that?
Yes, ma'am. Over 2 years at the City of Sanford.
Any more?
Nope.
Okay. Where are you currently assigned?
Vehicles for hire.
Where were you assigned when the incident occurred on February 4th, 2019?
West Patrol Division.
Mamone started off very confident. Without hesitation, he was able to answer questions. He would have known what was coming, so it wouldn't have been hard for him to prepare.
And how long were you in that spot?
Up to the month of March of this year.
March.
From date of hire.
Okay, so you transferred somewhere else in March?
Yeah, transferred to East Patrol Division, Kilo Alpha Mids.
Okay. We're here reference IR 1933. This INOI is in reference to a possible violation of RM 800-2 arrest, subsection C, treatment of prisoners. Did you have an opportunity to review the body camera footage related to this incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you review it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The other two officers in this video, these are Officers Madison and Seitz, is that correct?
Correct.
Were you riding solo or two-man?
Two-man capacity. And
were you the driver or the passenger?
Passenger.
The interviewee then confirmed some details of how the incident happened.
So originally you all conducted a traffic stop, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then at some point you got them both out of the car and you were trying to identify who the passenger in the car was, correct?
Correct. We established probable cause for a search.
Okay. While you all were standing, I think you were still inside the vehicle, and Officers Madison and Seitz were standing up, and you were eventually able to get a positive identification on the passenger, correct?
Correct.
At that time, he took off running away from you guys, correct?
Correct.
Tell me what happened after that.
He then asked what happened after the man ran away.
The Mr. Grant, the suspect, the passenger in the car who I was attempting to identify, was looking back. Based off the false identification he provided, I used that as clues through the mugshots program to try and find his real identity. Upon finding his real identity, I guess he picked up on my verbal and nonverbal cues that I had positively identified him. Once I stepped out of the car, he began to run at a full sprint. I guess it would be like northwest from us, towards the entrance of Timberleaf and Greenbelt, which is Timberleaf Apartments.
Okay, and then what happened?
Due to the fact he was providing active physical resistance, I deployed my electronic control device. After he fell, popped up, and then attempted to flee again. It had a positive effect of him going to the ground. He didn't fully lock up, but he did go to the ground.
Mamone then explained the line of events before he told Mr. Grant adjusted his handcuffs.
Which then Officer Madison and I were able to use hands-on techniques to keep him from getting up and trying to flee again.
Okay. So you two get him under control, and you eventually stand him up, and you all walk back towards where Officer Seitz is, correct?
Correct. When he goes to the ground, he flips his handcuffs. His handcuffs are in the front.
Yeah.
Which is problematic, of course. And then myself and Officer Madison walk him back to the patrol vehicles and the original scene of the traffic stop.
Okay. What happened when you get back to the original site of the traffic stop?
Mr. Grant is placed on the ground in a kneeling position, and he is told to put his handcuffs back behind his back.
The interviewee then questioned what Mamone was taught. Mamone is unnecessarily specific about his training. It seems he doesn't know what the word intuition means.
How do you normally handcuff a person if they haven't been handcuffed?
If they are not handcuffed, you handcuff them behind the back.
Okay, what if they say the handcuffs are twisted or hurting them? How do you unhandcuff them to readjust it?
I have not been trained on handcuffing a suspect based on his complaint of pain.
Have you ever had to adjust a handcuff on a person?
Yes.
How?
When they're behind his back.
How?
By placing my handcuff key in the handcuff and adjusting them behind his back.
Okay. So he's on the ground and you tell him to put his hands back and behind him, and what does he say?
He fails to comply with the order.
What does he say?
You'd have to play the camera for me to repeat verbatim what he said.
He kept mentioning his training. Training isn't supposed to be this specific. A human brain exists. This is just poor judgment of a situation. He fails to realize that because he's that dumb.
And even then, you just have to listen. I don't know from memory.
At the time, the suspect had said that the cuffs caused him pain, which shouldn't be difficult for Mamone to remember. He suddenly had memory problems when it came to recalling this.
Get these handcuffs back behind him. Where do you think you're gonna go? Y'all gonna run us with handcuffs on. They're gonna stop. They're gonna drop down to your knees. They're gonna fix your handcuffs, gonna put them back behind your back. No, it's okay, let them go. Put them back. Put them behind your back. Go on. You're the one who got them in front, you told me. Put them on your knees, put them on your back. If you do anything other than what I say, you get sprayed in the face.
If you just say if I move.
Put them behind your back.
You just say if I move, you're gonna spray me.
You're gonna put those behind your back.
He might have some kind of medical. What's wrong? Why can't spray him?
Oh no, he's just he just likes them. Go put those.
How did you get him out? How did you get him out?
You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth.
Upon hearing the video, Mamone said that he wasn't actually trying like he said in the video. This is a very stupid thing to say. He can't just say that and lie flat in front of him.
Put those under your knees, slip them under your knees and around your back. If you gotta go to your side, go to your side.
You just
do what you gotta do to put your handcuffs behind your back. How's that?
Look, I'm finna lay you down and you gonna do what you gotta do.
There you go. Now put your legs through the cuffs.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it feel like I cannot move. I swole, sir. You let me in my. I swole. Like,
put them behind your back.
Oh my God. Put them behind your back.
Go on.
Look at me. Look at me. I tried to, bro.
You're not even trying. Not even trying.
So he says he's trying to, right?
That's what he says. He apparently made no physical attempt, but he says he tried to.
Okay, but he said he tried. That's what he said.
That's what he said. No.
Not even trying. You're stuck.
So when he says he's not even trying, is he just laying flat, or what is he doing at that point? I can't see on your.
Mamone kept insisting to the interviewee that Mr. Grant was not trying, but the interviewee's not dumb enough to believe his lies.
You do see a little when it pans back and forth. When he originally laid on his slide,
I can't see his full body on your body camera right during none of this. Like, I can't see his body. I see his foot.
Yeah, exactly. So you see his foot. I recall from him with his legs outstretched, not attempting to even bring his knees to his chest to flip the handcuffs.
Okay. And he says he can't.
Yeah, but he hasn't physically tried, and he says he can't. Correct.
Okay, well, there's some things that I know I can't do without having tried. But I understand what you're saying. You're saying he didn't try.
I'm about to unstuck you.
Correct.
You want to do it, you want me to do it for you?
Look at me. Look at me. I tried to, bro.
You're not even trying. Not even trying.
I tried.
Not even trying. You're stuck. I'm about to unstuck you. You want to do it, you want me to do it?
What does that mean? I'm about to unstuck you.
I can't recall it because I can't see him.
She questioned what he meant by, "I'm about to unstuck you," and he suddenly can't recall what he meant. Ridiculous.
You said it. What does it mean?
I can't recall because I can't see. He said, I don't know what he means by I'm stuck, so therefore I don't recall what I meant by I can't unstuck you.
And why were you going to pepper spray him?
If he provided physical resistance, my use of force choice probably would have been pepper spray.
Pepper spray is definitely overkill for someone that's on the ground and handcuffed.
Shut your mouth. You shut your mouth. Put those On your knees, slip them under your knees, and around your back. If you gotta go to your side, go to your side. You just do what you gotta do to put your handcuffs behind your back. How's that?
Look, I'm finna lay you down, and you gonna do what you gotta do.
There you go. Now put your legs through the cuffs.
That's what I'm trying to, like, it feel like I cannot move. I swole. You let me in my, I swole. Like,
put them behind your back.
Well, what is he saying there? I'm what? Put them behind your back.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Well, go home.
Look at me. I tried to, bro.
You're not even trying.
I swole.
Put them behind your back.
Oh my God, done before. Put them behind.
What was the purpose of shaking the pepper spray?
I don't recall. Am I shaking pepper spray?
And he didn't recall again. Isn't that a surprise?
Go home.
Look at me. I tried to, bro.
You're not even trying. Not even trying.
I tried to.
Not even trying. You're stuck? I'm about to unstuck you. You want to do it, or you want me to do it for you? You want to do it, or you want me to do it for you? Okay, we'll do it for you.
What the?
I didn't even touch you.
What the?
Put your leg back around. Go on, put your leg back around.
I cannot, bro. Look.
Okay, he said, I cannot. And now you're forcefully pulling his leg through the handcuffs. Why are you pulling his leg through the handcuffs?
To get them repositioned to the rear.
He said that he couldn't and that he was yelling because it hurt.
We don't know if he's yelling because he's hurt.
The audacity of this man to say that Mr. Grant was yelling for no reason, that he wouldn't be in pain, considering what was being done to him.
I can yell right now. It doesn't mean I'm in physical pain.
He was yelling as you were pulling his leg through the handcuffs.
Correct, he was.
So that wouldn't indicate that it was hurting him?
Not necessarily, ma'am.
Why else would he be yelling?
For any various reasons. Draw a crowd. We see if you get attention to people in the apartment. That's a common thing that we see when we're out on patrol. People will scream even in the back of a patrol car just to get people to the scene.
He had obviously started being defensive, which is proof that even he knew he was doing the right thing and that he was using too much force.
No, you can't.
Bro, I tried.
You're not trying. You just did.
Bro,
I just saw you do it. No, that's all right.
He said, I'm trying, I can't, and you're still forcefully pulling his leg through. Why are you still pulling his leg through?
Same answer, to get his handcuffs repositioned to the rear.
But he's saying that he can't do it. Why are you pulling his hand through? If it's hurting him and he says he can't do it, it's not going to work.
We don't know if it's hurting him. And the same answer, to put his hands behind his back.
We'll get it. We'll get it. Go on, stick your foot through. I see people do this every day. Come on. Come on. Stop. But you stop fighting me and just do it.
Look, bro. I'm going with you, bro.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Put your foot around. That wasn't that hard. Now do the other one.
The video continued to play, and now he does the same torture with the guy's other leg.
Do the other one. Do the other one. Put the handcuffs back behind your back. Go on, do the other one.
I'm not taking stuff off.
Your cuffs aren't going back. You already ran once. I ain't going to take them off. Put your other foot. I'll do the other one.
So you didn't want to reposition the handcuffs because you haven't been trained or because he already ran once?
I haven't been trained in repositioning a suspect who has fled from the scene, who has flipped his cuffs on the ground to reposition him in his back, ma'am.
Okay, so you didn't have control of the prisoner?
No, I never said we didn't have control. I said I've never
I'm
been
asking
trained.
you, did you have control of him?
I can't say we did.
It's not a trick question. Just
well, it is because it depends on your definition of control.
He continued to blame the training. He refused to take responsibility. Absolutely pathetic.
Was he free to go?
No, ma'am, he's detained.
Did you have physical control of him?
Like I said, that determines on your definition of control. If I put him in the back of my patrol car, would you say I have physical control? But I don't, even though he's detained in the back of the patrol car.
Is he free to leave?
No, he's detained, ma'am.
Okay, is he under arrest in the back of the car?
Yes, at this point he's under arrest.
Okay, so what was stopping you from unhandcuffing him and putting the handcuffs behind his back?
I've never been trained to do that.
You've never been trained to unlock a pair of handcuffs?
Not from a person who has fled and lied about his name.
That has nothing to do with you unlocking a pair of handcuffs. Nothing. Have you been trained to unlock handcuffs?
To unlock handcuffs?
Yes.
Not when they're from his body.
Does this guy even hear himself? What nonsense is he saying? Unlocking handcuffs off of anyone just requires you to know how to unlock handcuffs.
Ever been trained to unlock handcuffs? That's all I'm asking you.
Not in the front of a person's body.
Can we take a break?
You sure can. 10:50 hours.
They definitely needed a break to talk because Mamone here is just making an utter fool out of himself. Furthermore, there was an argument in the hall in the break which should not have taken place. It begs the question about whether this is actually an investigation or a formality to fill paperwork.
We are back in the interview room at 10:54 hours.
Eventually, the silence was finally broken by the interviewee.
Attempted homicide in North Charleston, South Carolina.
Officer Dunlap.
Can we back the video all the way up to the beginning, please?
Looking for when they ran. It's around 28:13.
Where's 20?
For a stay just like this.
Mamone's representative, after permission, looked for the part in the video where the suspect ran.
Yeah, that's because your face is in dirt. Sit down. Sit down, you're going to get it again. Roll over. Hey, roll over now. Oh, that's all right. I'll use my hands now.
Did you hear him wince in pain when he pulled his hands up to the front?
No, sir.
That's it.
Do you want to clarify or add any statements made by you during this interview?
No, ma'am.
Is the testimony you provided true and correct?
He viewed the footage he was looking for. The interview was pretty much about to end.
Identifiable witnesses that may have evidence of material fact in this investigation?
None than the ones listed here on the sheet.
Okay.
After the break, the line of questioning was changed and the interviewee concluded the interview quite hastily. After the investigation by Internal Affairs concluded, it was determined that Officer Andrew Mamone had acted with unnecessary force. Officer Mamone was, as a result, suspended for 24 hours without pay. He grieved the suspension, but the grievance was rejected. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and comment down below with your thoughts. And if you liked this video, you'll love this next one where these good cops humiliate the out of evil cops.
I'll give you one more chance here in a few minutes, and I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm telling you that.
Well, what happened?
You know what happened. I'm not going to sit here and play games with you. I'm not. I know. You know.